Picture a stack of $100 bills reaching so high it pierces the atmosphere. That is the scale of the move Meta just made. A staggering $100 billion agreement with AMD that is fundamentally shifting the gravity of the entire AI industry. This isn't just a purchase order, it's a marriage. Meta isn't just buying chips, they're securing a 10% equity stake in AMD. It is one of the most aggressive vertical integration moves we have ever seen in big tech, and the reason is simple. Mark Zuckerberg is tired of waiting in line for NVIDIA's latest silicon. He's building a fortress of compute, and he's doing it by picking a side in the greatest hardware war of our time.
For years, NVIDIA has been the only game in town. If you wanted to train a massive model like Llama 3, you paid the green tax. But Meta's new deal changes the math entirely. By injecting $100 billion into the AMD ecosystem, Meta is effectively funding the development of a true Blackwell killer. It's a massive vote of confidence that's already making waves in the stock market. But why AMD, and why now? To understand that, we have to look at the silicon itself. Because under the hood, the MI450 is a very different beast than what we've seen before. The sheer volume of chips Meta is requesting is enough to keep AMD's fabrication lines humming for years. We are talking about millions of units designed to power the next decade of social media and AI agents. This isn't just about hardware, it's about control. By owning a piece of the supplier, Meta ensures they are never at the mercy of another company's roadmap or supply chain hiccups ever again. It's a masterstroke of business strategy. But the technical hurdles are just as massive as the price tag. Let's look at what they're actually building.
Analysts are calling this the Great Decoupling. Meta is the first of the hyperscalers to put this much skin in the game with a non-NVIDIA partner. It's a signal to the entire market that the era of the single-source AI boom is over. If this works, Meta becomes the most compute-efficient company on the planet. If it fails, they've spent $100 billion on a secondary ecosystem that might not keep up. But Zuckerberg has never been one to play it safe. The stakes couldn't be higher. But to see why Meta is so confident, we need to dive into the architecture of the MI450 itself. And trust me, the specs are wild.
So, what makes the MI450 so special? It all comes down to how it handles the massive data flow required for modern LLMs. It's not just about speed, it's about the pipes that move the data. While NVIDIA focuses on raw flops, AMD is doubling down on memory bandwidth and capacity. In the world of AI, memory is often the real bottleneck, and the MI450 is designed to shatter that wall. But how does it actually stack up against NVIDIA's Blackwell? That is where the real fight begins. Let's look at the numbers.
In one corner, we have NVIDIA's Blackwell, the reigning champion of AI compute. In the other, the AMD MI450. The biggest difference? It's all about the memory. AMD is packing their chips with a massive amount of HBM4. We are talking about memory bandwidth that exceeds several terabytes per second. This allows the MI450 to keep the compute cores fed with data, preventing the starvation that slows down lesser chips. This architectural choice is a direct response to Meta's needs. When you're running models with trillions of parameters, memory isn't just a feature, it's the whole game.
But NVIDIA isn't sitting still. Their Blackwell series uses a revolutionary die-to-die interconnect that makes two chips act as one. It's a marvel of engineering that delivers incredible cost per compute, if you can get your hands on them. AMD's countermove is the MI450's chiplet design. By using smaller, more yield-efficient pieces of silicon, AMD can drive down the cost per compute significantly. For a company like Meta, saving even 10% on a $100 billion spend is $10 billion back in the bank. This is the efficiency frontier. Meta isn't just looking for the fastest chip. They're looking for the best performance for every watt and every dollar. And right now, the MI450 is making a very compelling case.
However, there is a catch. NVIDIA has CUDA, the software layer that almost every AI developer uses. Switching to AMD means using ROCm. For years, ROCm was the underdog, but Meta has been pouring engineers into making it a first-class citizen. Meta's commitment to PyTorch, which they created, is the secret weapon here. Since PyTorch now runs beautifully on AMD hardware, the software moat that protected NVIDIA for a decade is finally starting to look like a puddle. This is a massive shift. When the world's largest AI models can switch hardware with a few lines of code, the hardware becomes a commodity. And in a commodity market, price and availability are king.
Let's talk raw numbers. The MI450 is rumored to offer up to 2.5 times the memory capacity of the previous generation. That means Meta can fit larger models on fewer chips, drastically reducing the complexity of their data centers. Fewer chips mean fewer cables, less heat, and lower failure rates. In a facility with 100,000 GPUs, reliability is everything. Meta is essentially simplifying their entire infrastructure by betting on AMD's big memory approach. But there's a risk. Analysts are pointing to something called over-provisioning. Are they building too much, too fast? Let's look at the danger zone.